Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
till I die. And kill till I die.
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Good morning, everybody. It's Laurie Calcaterra, your hostess with the mostest on the Tuesday Morning Brew. I'm excited for today's show, hence the claps. We got some guests today. We're going to talk about an apocalypse story, which you know are my favorite. So I'm looking forward to really picking some brains and finding out what's going on in this story. But before we get there, I want to talk about Path of the Pale Rider and just give y'all an update. The book order has been placed. We're just waiting on proofs, and it's going to go quick from there. So we should be seeing books pretty soon, and then we'll be fulfilling that Kickstarter. We're going to turn around and start looking at the next one in March. So follow along to make sure that you're in the know for issue number 3. I love issue number 3. It's so good. So much stuff happens. I got a lot of surprises, and I've been, of course, doing some research about what you guys want as rewards. So I got all sorts of things planned. This is probably the last time I'm going to show this because I've kind of been teasing it, but I've been working with my 3D printer. It's so close. It's so close. This is the last time I'm going to show this, people, and then after this, it's going to wait until it's all done. But this is probably going to be something that you can back in the next Kickstarter, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm really excited. And the last thing, we're going to start filming the short film for issue number 3 next week. So if you are looking to be in that short film, there is no dialogue required. You just have to check a few boxes filming, and one of them is real easy, like you just have to lay on the floor and pretend to be dead. So if you're a good enough actor, pretend to be dead on your carpet or your tile. You can be in the next short film if you're interested. So reach out to me on any of the socials. Send me an email, whatever you decide if you want to be part of the short film, because it's going to happen. So I'm going to start bringing in guests. And of course, you guys are all familiar with this first guest, or at least you should be, because he is the artist and illustrator of Path of the Pale Rider. Welcome, Marco Defillo. Yay!
Hello, everybody.
Good morning. Also, good morning to Jorge. Good morning, Jorge. So welcome. I love having you on the show. It's not even like we're pushing our own stuff. It's like there's something else going on we get to talk about. So I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to share this story. It's been in the works for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a passion project for our partner, but I've been slowly getting into it with him, trying to get this out there.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
Right. I mean, as an indie comic creator, I get it. Like, I don't know how many times we've all had false starts or bringing people in and then things don't work out, or looking for funding and it doesn't work out. It's a normal part of the process, kind of, until you find your way. Good morning, Max. Hello, how are you? I'm going to go ahead and bring in our other guest with a very royal name. His name is King Eddie. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
It's nice to finally meet you and like put a face to the name, because I'm sure Marco has told you about me and he's been talking about you. So it's nice that the three of us actually get to like hang out and talk about what we do, which is make comics. So fun times.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. So you are the writer, creator of, can you say the name for everybody? Mauka, right? Mauka.
Mm-hmm.
For people, I'll put it in the chat. It's called M-A-U-K-A.
M-A-U-K-A, Mauka. It means towards the mountains.
High ground. What does Mauka? I thought it meant something. Does it not?
It means towards the mountains. So basically, like if you're in Hawaii and you're going down the road, you have two sides. There's Mauka and Makai. So there's towards the mountains and towards the water.
Gotcha. That's pretty much it. Yeah, if you're on an island. It's like right or left. It's their words for right or left, but a little more specific.
Yeah.
So when did you get the writing bug? When did you first start? What sparked this whole journey for you?
I've been writing since I was a kid. as a matter of fact, it's crazy. Like, I never had any interest in it at all. And I really was disinterested in school as well. I was just one of those kids trying to get through it. And then in the 7th grade, I had a teacher that kind of changed the game. You know, she was more of like a college style teacher, and she didn't want us to write stuff that was just to write it. She wanted, you know, anything that you thought about or felt. And so she was kind of the first person to ever be like, hey, man, you might want to think about doing this. It's funny because she's actually like my best friend now, like, so many years later.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where it started. And from there, I mean, I wrote for magazines and written in other comics and things like that.
Really? Oh, that's right. You guys are published in Image.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yeah,
the
my
title?
first-
Tell people about that one.
Yeah, my first published work so far, and like in a big company, is with King. It was on on Earth. Yeah, it was actually my professor, his buddy. He was doing I think he was already signed up to do a story. Yeah.
You made me laugh. My professor, his buddy, but you didn't say his name.
Oh, Kyle Strom. Yeah.
I was like, people know who this is.
Well, yeah, I should. Yeah, by now he's done Twig. He's done on
Right.
Earth, and he's probably done a lot more.
Yeah. Red
Yeah.
was amazing. That's what I read when you were like Hostrom. I'm like, I know that name. I went and looked it up. And I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, so these are mutual acquaintance of both of you, which is really cool. And that's how you guys connected.
Yep.
Yeah. Kyle was like, hey, I have story. I have a free gig for you. You won't get paid or anything, but you gotta do it by a month.
Yeah, getting paid is a great perk.
Hey, I mean, getting right out of college, I got a great opportunity to do a great story by King, so it was pretty cool. And King loved it, so I'm happy that he loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, King and I'm sure both agree on this, but your art is fabulous, and just your visual storytelling adds to the story. So whatever, like I write, you're always adding extra things on the background. Like we're going to add extra zombies outside of Santa Claus, or, you know what I mean? Like you're adding stuff like a singing bass on the freaking wall, or, you know, stuff like that, where it's just like, if you look hard enough into it, I can see your own personal touches in that work. So I'm excited to get Mauka as well, because I just want to see that specific world. So King, this is a dystopian Hawaii, correct?
Yeah. It's an interesting take, but I think it's one that's a little more believable and a little more real than a lot of dystopian stories. I mean, in 2010, when I was there, we had a tsunami warning, and I think that's where it started. You know, we were kind of freaking out. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things where when you're on a small island, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are and where you live. I mean, I had people I didn't even know helping me load a truck up so we could move to higher ground. And that's kind of where it started.
Yeah. So what's the basis of the story? I kind of know a little bit based off of what I've heard from Marco and like going on your webpage and your Kickstarter, but tell the viewers, like, what's the like, give me the elevator pitch for the story.
So basically, imagine a world where, something really terrible has happened, and people are really into The Last of Us and all that stuff right now.
Yeah.
But imagine you take away the entire continent that you live on, take away all this travel, take away all this means of communication, put yourself on a rock in the middle of the ocean, and you would never even know what actually happened. Things would just stop. It's not like there would be like a messenger pigeon or something. So that was kind of where that's kind of where the story starts. It follows different groups, basically like tribes. I mean, humans are tribal in nature, so it's not very hard to imagine that. And especially in Hawaii, where it's a melting pot. There's so many different cultures and races and classes, and it's instinctive for it to be grouped. So I kind of started thinking about that and how it would go down. And basically in the story of Mauka, we just follow a few different groups. We start off with this guy Carlos and his friend Koa. they're basically part of like a nomadic group that is kind of trying to stop this bubbling tribal war that's about to go on. But Carlos has some other things from his past that he's still trying to reconcile and figure out. And that's kind of part of the story. We use Carlos as a vehicle to ride through what's going on in the present and to kind of get an idea of what happened in the past.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
These
and
interiors.
yeah, I like the idea of the dystopian island because I'm from Puerto Rico too. I'm from an island too, from Puerto Rico, from the other side. But I always imagine what happens when the world ends. I know in some movies, people are like, let's go to an island to get away from all those horrors. But at the same time, I was thinking, what happens if you live on an island?
Right, you can't get off. And like you said, like communication stops. Like, how
are you? Yeah. And is what's happening in the world happening in that small island because it's an isolated, area. It's just an interesting concept to go through.
Yeah.
Especially with Hawaii, like one of the things I love about Hawaii is they're so very rooted in everything that came before. Always, all the time. That's in the forefront. And so when you look at some of the things that are going on in the book, honestly, it kind of harkens back to, the days before the islands were united. A lot of people don't know, but there was like, a royal family, but it was basically just tribal pods on different islands. And in order to even unite them, they had to go to war. So I'm kind of looking at the island of Oahu, which is where I'm from. And Oahu is really diverse. And so I kind of just viewed each section of Oahu because it's very, very real and very prevalent that East Side people are East Side people and West Side people are West Side people, mainly because of traffic. But, I kind of took that and split it up and thought about what it would be like to kind of unify. It was very bloody back in the day when the islands were united by Kamehameha. And so I kind of looked for that inspiration on this one to kind of see how things would come together.
Do you allude to any of that history in your issues?
Absolutely. That's part of the draw of the book. Obviously, I'm as white can be, but
no one knows. Come on. You could be part. Who knows?
My children have Native Hawaiian blood, and that's something that's really important because people don't realize, but a lot of Hawaii is not native. There's huge Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Filipino contingents.
Right.
So I kind of looked into that, and what I want to do with this book is not only show like a true view of the actual culture in Hawaii, not just the native culture, but the culture of Hawaii itself. But also I want to do something that I feel is necessary, which is I'm given a gift. It's like the biggest gift you can get in Hawaii is the language. So throughout the book, they use native words or local like pidgin words, and we'll kind of give a glossary in every issue. And it's kind of a thing where you'll learn a little bit about things more so than just skin deep.
That's really cool. And I'm sure, having that depth to the comic will make it so much more enjoyable for me as a reader. I'm always looking for what's underneath, what else is being told with the story besides what's on the page. And that's how I write as well. So it's like when you read our story, there's much more going on than what you're seeing. And then like when you get a few issues in, it kind of all comes together. So it looks like this is going to be the same. And I'm really stoked to read this. Question, who came up with this weapon? What about this weapon?
Well, the concept, of course, is the King's. Yeah, he wanted a weapon with the saw on it with this special type of wood on it, which pretty sure we will allude to in the story later. But that was the concept, and he wanted Shark Chief, and he also wanted to allude to the culture that Hawaii has with these weapons that are based off like fish hooks.
Fish hooks.
Yeah, shark teeth. So if I can find the sketches, I just saw it. I like have like 2 pages full of me just drawing different weapons and different kinds. I did extensive study on like the different weapon types to make sure, because there's like blunt stuff like this kind of fish hook kind of style that I put on the weapon. There's also blunt weapons that are very straight. But I mean, I think for us, the hook kind of is a very strong symbol. It was so I really wanted to do something like that. So for some reason I thought maybe stick a saw on top of it, weld it together.
This thing is gnarly. Let me scroll back down. Like the way that he stuck this in this guy's mouth and then kicked it, I was like, Jesus.
The concept talking.
Like, oh my God.
The curb stomp. Yeah.
The curb stomp with the freaking saw blade in his mouth. Like, oh.
Yeah.
This guy is deader than dead. He's a puddle.
If you look at his face, before he smashes his head completely, he sticks the thing in his mouth, and when he pulls it out, you can see where the shark's teeth have already gashed him.
Yeah, like right here.
Tiger shark teeth are very, very sharp.
Right, pulls it out. It's already given him the Joker smile. He's rocking the Joker smile, but he's still talking, and he's like, "You fine piece of death." Off it goes, whole top part of his head. And I love this use of neon pink. Whose idea was that?
Oh, that's me. I'm all about the pink, man.
Really?
It stands out. You got to think, when you have a landscape like so bright and so green and so blue and just everything just stands out so much. What do you put on top of it as contrast between light and dark? Pink and like an electric turquoise are these very popular colors, even in Hawaii. Like,
yeah,
you just see it everywhere, and I think that's part of it. It's something that would stand out.
I like how it kind of carries through even in the swear word scribbles.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh. It's just, I think, a really interesting choice because, it, like you said, it just stands out, but it kind of ties everything back to this title. And it's like, what you choose for your colors is so important. You know, I'm not like Marco, not professional, but it's like the whole emotion behind whatever you're reading is in those colors. So it's just really amazing. I would never have thought to put this neon pink, but it works really well. You know?
Yeah, when I saw that pink, I was like, whoa. I was like, oh, look. It really
King, are you lettering this?
I am. I'm actually re-lettering it. That was like a rough thing to get it going. But
Dude, I feel you.
I had a theory in the beginning of like.
You know how many times I re-lettered issue 2?
But it's like I wanted to kind of do a thing where the more broken the English was, the more broken the bubbles were.
Yeah.
And I also wanted them to kind of like have jagged edges and fit together. It didn't work out so great as far as what I thought it was going to be. So I'm just going to re-letter it in a normal style. But you know, that's kind of the process, right? It's trial and error. Nothing's final until it's printed.
Dude,
I mean, I think I even changed the words to the script as I was lettering it.
No, yeah, you know, and I've done that too, where it's like I sit there and I look at the wording and I'm like, I don't like it. So then I change it and then I don't like it. And then I change it again. And then it starts getting messy. You know what I mean? Because I changed it so many times. My editor's like, what is this? I was like, I'll fix it. You know, it's like, one suggestion that was made to me is check out blambot.com. It has all sorts of tips about lettering and like how to convey things and like spacing and stuff that I found really useful. Whether you choose to follow the rules or break them is totally up to you. But I was like, wow, I didn't realize there was that many freaking rules about lettering, and there are. So
yeah,
fun times. After you read it, you'll want to re-letter again. I promise you.
The first thing I ever lettered was spread. I lettered my own story in spread.
Did you?
Yeah, and Crank kind of gave me a few ideas, and then really good friends with Russ Wooten, who letters everything. And he gave me notes, and the spread worked out pretty good. And then I think I did a pretty good job like accenting Marco's art when we did Unearth. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of times you have to cover dead space, but with Marco, it's like, man, I want to
There
make
is
these
no,
short phrases so that we can see
dead
more art.
space.
Yeah,
You feel like I was just like, Marco, where am I putting this text, man? I'm like, everything is too good. I don't want to cover. Like, I don't want to cover the singing bass, but I had to.
yeah. Kyle's told me to sometimes downsides of 50%, so I can put some words in some areas because I do get into it. I've been better at it on these new areas. Like I plan for the bubbles to where they go.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I did the work with King, I was like surprised. He told me, yeah, make it smaller so you can get the bubbles because I would like pick a lot.
That was a really good story too. I got to read it when we were at Cowtown. Marco brought a copy, so I got to read the few pages. I was like, "Oh my god, this is creepy," you know, like that. I don't know how much I should say, but like especially the ending, I was just like, "Oh my god!" So really good work. I'm impressed. So that was fun.
Oh, the unearthed story.
Huh?
The unearthed story. Yeah.
I
Oh,
found
what you
the,
got? What you got,
I
Marco?
found the sketches for the weapon. So these were all their little versions of what the weapon could have looked like. And the potential, you know, to be like it could go into the story.
Yeah.
Like for this side, this weapon I'm thinking of doing for Koa. At first, I gave him a very simple weapon, but I really wanted to now give him updated to a more, you know, unique weapon too, because in the end, these weapons are probably going to be the symbols of these characters.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's funny because like when you look at the actual weapons from back in the day, I mean, there are people that still make a living carving these things out of koa wood, and it's illegal to use the tiger shark teeth now, but you know, you can order like a big bunch of ceramic ones, but people still do things that their ancestors did thousands of years ago, and they do it with so much precision, and you'd be surprised at like how well these things work. It's kind of a the weapon is a bigger symbol for kind of the way things are handled there. You know, it's blunt, it's close, there's jagged on certain edges, and you utilize anything you can. So back in the day, they had shark's teeth, and they would even use, I mean, different lava rocks, anything that would inflict a whole lot of damage, infection, create hardship for their opponent. And so Marco really killed it with that. I feel like it's like it's Lucille from Walking Dead on meth. I mean, like this thing is it's crazy and it works. That's definitely been everybody's favorite thing so far.
Well, you have some fighting background, correct? You were MMA for a while?
Yeah, I ended up being like a reporter, ran MMA Hawaii magazine for several years. It was funny. I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to move to Hawaii and fight all these people because, you know, they're just like they're a warrior culture. Like everybody is a professional fighter, everybody. Jeez. So then I got there and I met everybody and I really liked all the teams and the coaches and everybody just kind of became like family to me. So I never wanted to punch any of them in the face. But
so you weren't actually fighting?
Not when I was there. No, I was I trained in a few places. I even spent some time out in New Mexico with like Cowboy Cerrone and Leonard Garcia. Leonard Garcia is actually from Lubbock, Texas.
Oh, really?
So I spent some time out there with those guys and realized that maybe I wasn't as much of a badass as I thought I was.
You know,
and it would be way better to just tell the story.
You know? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you start training and you have this impression of what you can do, and then you find out like
you can't do anything that you think you're going to do. Yeah.
Like, there's people out there that are so skilled and they're so dangerous, and a lot of times like they're the people that you would never see coming. Like I train martial arts. My teacher and my friend that introduced me to my teacher are both like super easygoing, like always smiling, the most generous people. But like if something were to happen, they are the two most deadly people that I know.
Yeah.
No one would see them coming.
When I got to see that part of Hawaii, like when I first moved there And, you know, I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to go to these, you know, MMA events and take pictures and write stories or whatever. And then I started noticing that like the guy that just knocked out like a 350-pound behemoth was like my waiter like a restaurant, or like the bus driver that would take me from like middle west side to town and back. Like I go to an event and all of a sudden like I see that he's like a coach and he's coaching all these really killer kids. You know, as a matter of fact, the Max Holloway was, you know, the champion in the UFC for a really, really long time. I was at his first fight and I watched him grow up as a little kid. And what was funny is that he was the littlest, most non-threatening human that there was. And then he became the baddest man on the planet for like 9 years.
That's exactly what I mean. Like people, you have no idea who the true predator, like the true fighter warriors are, because they don't walk around with the chip on their shoulder. They're driving the bus, they're the waiter, you know, they're just, that's part of them. So it's just amazing to me how that happens. It's like those guys that are big and they're like the big meatheads, they're not the dangerous ones. It's the people that you don't see.
And that's kind of it's an underlying theme in our book as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that I kind of took from, you know, I'll say it's completely senseless and pointless, but at the same time, it makes all the sense in the world. You know, I write stories about things that I see with my eyes and hear with my ears. And that's what it was. I mean, I saw so many people that had something to fight for.
Yeah.
And I saw so many people that were just the nicest, kindest, most loving human beings in the world, but they were incredibly dangerous. And there's a sense of that everywhere. Like even within the MMA community, like there are entire teams of people that have spent the last 10 years of their life fighting guys on this one particular other team. So that's kind of an underlying story, especially when you look at it from the aspect of, you know, Carlos not really being from Hawaii originally. You know, we're going to explore more of his backstory as the book goes, so I don't want to give too much away, but he's an island boy, but that's not his island. And so you kind of see some of the things
Marco. Marco, why are you on that island? That's bad news, sir.
He wanted to write me in. Just my hair's not as curly.
That's your hair too, so
well, hey, since everybody's like really into the whole Kang dynasty and the multiverse and all this kind of stuff, if you think about it, if you read the Unearthed story, that was Carlos as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You just like blew up my brain. It was like,
yeah, it's like a variant of the same person.
He's always in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He has some adventures. He's gonna have
if that continues, this book is gonna be a wild ride. For those of you who haven't read Unearthed, it's crazy. That was actually what you were talking about, kind of segues into my next question. How are the fights? Are you writing like technical fights for poor Marco like I do?
The fun part about it is people don't understand how bad things really hurt, right? So they think to themselves about like
take a punch,
action scenes and these long, like everybody thinks of They Live with like Roddy Piper and the other guy that was like a 15-minute brawl. In the real world, when you get hit with something really big, it hurts. So there's a lot of shock value. And there's a lot of brutality, and some of the fight scenes, they're going to be pretty technical. And some of them are just going to be true to life, which is you get hit, you fall. And then whatever happens. I'm toying with a lot of things as far as to show the combat, and I think Marco's very much up to it. So it's gonna be visually interesting.
Give him a lot of practice, because I do the same kind of martial arts background. My fights are pretty. Even my bar fight, it wasn't too technical, but I had like specific things. But I feel bad. I always feel bad for Marco, and I'm like, well.
Luckily, I was a combat photographer, combat sports photographer. So I have on my hard drive like 150,000 pictures, like this exact thing.
Okay.
I could do that.
Well,
I need to get a
if you-
hold of that, sir, so I can, or maybe Marco, we can talk because it's like I would like all these things in my fights too.
Well, I'll make them as painful to look as possible.
That's the goal, right?
My goal
That's
is
the
to make them look like they hurt.
So Mauka, say it,
Mauka.
Mauka, right?
Mauka, yeah.
Mauka. So when did you start writing this? What year?
I
You remember?
started writing that probably around, oh man, let's see, what is it, 2023 right now?
Yeah.
Damn.
Probably around 2010.
Okay, so it's
And
been a
it's had several iterations.
Okay.
Because things change, you know, like obviously you loosely base it off, you loosely base most stories off of things that you know.
right.
A lot of things that I thought I knew changed. So this was a thing that I wanted to make the story, I wanted to make the book, but I didn't want to make it with anybody at any point in time. I wanted it to kind of be, this is my passion project. This is the one for me. So this is something that when Marco came along, we did Unearth. It was very obvious to me because even the Unearth story was very, very personal to me.
Mhm.
And so when I was able to work with Marco the way I was able to work with him, when he completely understood kind of like a lot of what I was saying, even like Carlos in the Unearth thing, when he's like clutching a picture of him and his girlfriend, and you see the tears in his eyes, and you knew
Mhm.
exactly what was going on, that this guy's going to do whatever. When we linked up and we found that kind of spark, then I was like, okay, this is it. This is the time.
To start Mauka.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and we started Mauka a little bit before Path to Pillars. So,
Right.
and it's got a long journey to get to this point. But the interesting part is that now with the experience of Path to Pale Rider that you've gracefully given to me, I can use those skills to get Mauka. So Mauka's gonna so these first few pages are just gonna elevate because all the experience I've gotten working with Path to Pale Rider as well.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of found your place in that dystopia, the apocalypse, being able to draw those like dilapidated infrastructure, buildings, stuff like that. I think you convey those really well. So you're just gonna get lots of practice.
Oh yeah.
The
after you two was like more dystopian, I was like, hey guys, I need to take a break from dystopian.
Well, I think you actually used some of Mauka's pages when I hired you. I looked at them.
Yeah,
that was part of
it
your
was
portfolio, and I was like, okay, he gets it. You know what I'm going for. So
it was
that
King
was
Street. Yeah.
So now it's like the story is complete. Have you finished? Are you still writing? What's going on there?
Well, I'll put it this way. I have the nuts and bolts are all I'm working on now. Like the framework is all there. Like this is a limited series. It'd be like a 5-book series. And then there is a follow-up 5-book series that I have like basically framed out called Makai. Like, you remember how I said there were two? It's like Mauka and Makai. So
Cool.
yeah, it's definitely something where the framework is there. The only thing that needs to really be polished off are the things that I change anyway. So we know where we're going. We know what we're doing. We just gotta get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more pages inked than those 7 that I did a long time ago. So the story is like the first issue is mostly, if you can say, it's like halfway through. So we just need to finish up and get it out there.
Yeah. I feel you, man. It's like every single issue, I'm like, yay, I'm going. And then you Kickstarter and you're like, I hate Kickstarter. And then it's like, okay, now we get fulfilled. And then it's like, and then you just do it again and again and again. And it's like, it's a love-hate relationship where it's like, I want the story out there and I feel great when we're done. But all that journey, it's the suck. And you just kind of have to like embrace the suck to get there, however long it takes. But it's exciting. It's exciting that you guys are this far. That there's there's a Kickstarter. It's going on right now. People can hop on this. People, if you're watching, go check this out. I'm going to play the video, but there's so much. And you have some really cool rewards that I've never seen on anybody else's before. So I want to talk to you about like the boxing gloves and some of the other really cool stuff that you have. But first, you know, like, let me put this up here. Let people watch the video and see kind of like the teaser of what's coming. So let me blast this to big. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go, people. Can I make it big? Here we go.
Imagine living on the beautiful island of Hawaii, bustling business, the beautiful scenery, but then everything just stops. No more power, water, cell phones, or communication from anywhere else in the world. The Western civilization that's so rooted here now just descends into chaos. Planes fall from the sky, and eventually a new way of life has to be formed. In this book, we follow Carlos, who's an off-island guy who's looking for his family, and Koa, a West Side boy who tries to keep peace between all of the tribes, but the two find themselves in the middle of a tribal war. When there's danger all around, the safest place is the high ground, towards the mountains. Okay.
Amazing. So cool, man. I mean, like, yeah, wait, are all those covers up here? Let's take a look.
No.
What?
All the
Oh,
covers
you're teasing us, King.
All the covers aren't up yet. One of the reasons we're kind of
Cover.
holding on.
What's that?
One of the reasons we're kind of holding off on some of the covers is it's just it's hard to get free time when you're an active professional comic artist. So I have things like I guess we can say we're very lucky because we know that a working comic artist has to work. If they have a 20-page book every month, they're working, you know, every day of that month. So we're lucky enough to have some of the pros that are doing stuff. Like Justin Greenwood was the first one to jump in. Like his book Torrent is actually coming out Wednesday. And he kind of had some time in between issues to work on his. So his cover's done. We've got that posted on a few social media things. I'm going to put it on the Kickstarter probably today. Aaron Connolly has sent in his rough draft, and he's working on fine tuning it. And he's got a Kickstarter up right now for Sabertooth Swordsman and Canker. They're doing a vinyl record with the book. It's super cool.
They're doing a vinyl?
Yeah, they're gonna do a vinyl record. It's 4 songs, 2 on each side.
Original songs?
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah. And then John Rauch, who's basically, when anybody asks me like, what has John worked on? I'm like, everything. That guy's been coloring comics since he was like 16 years old, and he's a grown man. So he's done everything. I actually met him through Invincible, which was my favorite book.
Yes.
And he was the colorist on Invincible at the time. And, you know, he colored a pitch that I had that kind of flopped with Image. And we've been friends ever since. But he helps with everything. The only problem is he's extremely busy. So
yeah.
And a perfectionist. So he's not going to let me release anything until he's completely okay with it. And same with Aaron. But we do have those extra covers. The closer we get to our goal, I'll obviously put more stuff on there. But if we're not going to hit the funding goal this time, then I would rather have that in my pocket for the next.
I think people would love to see that, and it can kind of hype up, everybody coming here to check things out. Do you have? Yes. Here's all the rewards. So $5, handy dandy, thank you. $10 digital copy, of course. We got secret extras. Ooh. So $10 people will get you a copy and physical copy and some secret extras, correct?
Yeah. And honestly, and you know how this goes with Kickstarter. It's like the more you get, the more you can make. And so basically the secret extras are just going to be whatever I can add to it to add value of things that we've come up with. Already our sticker pack is up to like 3 or 4 stickers, and we do have, I don't have all the rewards visually because part of the fun with the boxing gloves is that they're completely individualized. So the person who gets the boxing gloves has input on the design of the boxing gloves.
That's so cool. But wait, you're skipping around. It's like, okay, so 25, we get copy of the comic, and we get, that's Marco, that's your Poison Ivy?
Yes. So we talked about it. It's a print. Be one of my custom prints.
Cool.
I was deciding which one to do to add to the project, and I just did Poison Ivy. So Poison Ivy and Island Greenery, I thought it was perfect.
Yeah.
So you'll get a print. I also will sign the print with the book. I think also I also added, I think that was actually at the very bottom. So I'll wait to show you what I also added to it. But yeah, the sticker pack too, the custom stickers that I've made. You saw them at the very top of the page. That'll be the next one, and then the variants.
No natives.
Yeah. And actually, there's one more. I think that one's hasn't been uploaded yet, but it's gonna be like the weapon itself,
Cool.
with a bunch of flowers. We have to update that too.
Facebook user, thank you for joining. We don't know who you are, but good morning, and we love you.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that we're adding to it. There's even there's a pinup that Jake Smith, or Dead Gremlin Comics, Jake Smith did.
Yeah.
And I've decided that we're gonna throw that in as a print for anybody that gets the $25 or above.
Very cool. That's me. I did the sticker pack. So I got one sticker and print. Mauka sticker, Poison Ivy print. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So cool.
And then the sketchbook at the very end. So I've gotten a lot of requests when I go to cons, and I never do it because, I've never done it to a point where people just see my personal work. So attached to this book will be my sketchbook, the drawings I've done. I have a bunch of drawings, just random things. Like the main request was like, oh, I wish you print out your sketchbook so I could buy it. Because I go to cons with these fancy prints. And everyone's just look at my sketches, my horrible scribbly sketches.
Your sketchbook is awesome. Shut up. But when you mean produce your sketchbook, you mean like an actual replica of your sketchbook where you just print the whole
it's gonna be a book of the collection of. It's gonna be a comic book size book of just different sketches that I have. I'm gonna put it together. Not a recreation of my sketchbook because there's so many pages, and I have to save some for maybe volume 2.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that would be pricey, man, to get it a book.
Oh yeah,
your sketchbook is so much in it.
Yeah, and then I bought another book, so I'm already sketching. I apparently, like I said, people love my sketches more than my final art. Apparently, so I've been doing a lot of Instagram videos, and I've been getting a lot of attention to those. Those sketches are going to also be in the sketchbook.
I think it's the intention behind it. You know what I mean? Like a print is a copy Your sketchbook is like your actual marks on the page. I think that's what the draw is, where they want the physical, they want, you know, the pencil marks, the erasure marks, they want all of that because it's
Basically,
original. You touched it.
It's my my language. I don't know, a piece of paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
But I mean, a print is a print is a print. You can, you know, you can make 7,000 copies and not special. You know, even though it's beautiful art, it's not the same to them.
yeah.
I could be wrong. I could be talking out of my butt. I don't know. I really like this
no,
necklace,
right.
by the way.
The sketchbook is a personal collection of ideas. That's why a lot of people are hesitant to kind of show, because you're not showing art itself. You're showing into someone's mind. Yeah. So it's not like something. And I've been slowly opening it up of how I do my art. I'm always self-conscious of how my art style looks. To some point, sometimes I say I don't have no art style because I can never see it, and I know it's a lie. I know.
Does he make you laugh at times, King? Because a lot of times Marco's like, "That's not very good." I'm like, "You just sold the print for $60. What are you talking about? It's not good." Like,
it's funny. It's really funny because it's like I don't think I like to call Marco the sheltered child, where you know there are so many people that try to break in, you know, and they try to do all these things, and just Marco makes an impression, and then Kyle Strom kind of says, "Okay, let's do this," and his first published thing is for Image.
right. He's like, "I don't have a style.
So
this isn't a style, sir. This is a style.
Marco
this
hasn't had
right here."
He hasn't had the experiences that some other people have, where, like, you know, self-interested people who are jealous, you know, critique you. I feel like for Marco, he's got to do that to himself. He's got to critique himself. But I mean, it works for his process because he levels up. Like every time I see something, it's like a level above and a level above. And even though I'm sitting there going, "Man, what are you talking about? This is great. You're crazy." I kind of think that's just part of the motivating factor for him. So,
yeah,
you know, he
I
can say,
completely agree.
I mean, I just
whatever.
I just think to the point.
Yeah, for us, it's like when we turned out issue 1, we were really proud of it. Like, this is amazing. We did such a good job. And then we did issue 2, and we're like, wow, exactly. We leveled up. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, ooh, I wonder what issue 3 is going to look like. You know?
I'll never be satisfied. I'm just going to tell you.
We know this about you, sir. We know. Because you're like, I changed this thing and this thing again. And I'm like, stop touching it. It's fine.
I think that's just the mark of the artist. I think that's why. I think that's why we're all kind of sometimes sad, because we're never satisfied to the end result. You have to step back to be like, "Oh, okay, that was pretty cool," but then you're like, "I want to do it differently."
Well, then you learn, or you get critique, or you get new exposure, and then it's like, I want to do this differently. I want to do it again. You know.
I mean, I was to the point where I think when I got out of college, I was to the point where I was asking, is my art good enough? And I kept asking people around. I mean, it is. I mean, as much as my art is right now, I mean, it is at a good level. But I still, in my aspect to myself, I had to make sure that what I was getting into is worth it. I mean, I kept getting. I think the biggest thing Kyle said that was great about me is that I actually listen to critique, and I'm actually. And I actually adapt and improve. But I got to a point where when I was going to cons, I was getting critiqued. People were like, they weren't giving me as much as like the critiques that I wanted to, because I used to have a friend, I think I've told both of y'all, he used to critique me harshly. Even though the work was good, he would critique me harshly to the point where he's trying to help me, you know, he's trying to push me forward.
Yeah.
So I got to a point where I was like, okay, people at cons are not giving me harsh critique, so I'm just gonna move along and stop asking and just start doing. So now, and I think by doing that mostly, I kind of create without hesitation, and so my works become more free, and I like my sketchbook too, because it's more freeing. And if I do get a critique, I mean, of course I'm gonna look into it, you know. But I think the biggest thing Kyle that's told me is like. And comics is that if you want to get into comics, just start doing. And so that's why I'm just starting doing. And if I get a critique, I'll just improve on the next one. And thank you for who said that I saw the message.
Right. I don't know who Facebook user is. We still don't know who you are. We can't see your name, but thank you. We appreciate that. Tell us who you are in the chat so I know who we're talking to. But I think, experience is like the best teacher. You know what I mean? Just sitting down, actively doing it, trying to make it your best, and then looking at it. I don't know why it doesn't show your name either. Oh, it's Tom. What's up, Tom? I don't know.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes. Hello, Tom Repka.
Well, and I think that's another thing about Mauka that I think is good. I had a break from these characters, and I'm excited to come back to give them new looks. My character design work has improved a lot to a point, so I'll give them new life. And my scene placement is actually a little bit better than it was before. So now I've learned all these rules and aspects, and me and King are both growing together. So this book is only gonna just pop out more out,
Yeah.
And as the story expands and the character base expands, I mean, the fun thing about this is like you have a lot of different groups. One of which even being like pirates, like just a group of people that like went to the marina and took some boats and they're just kind of like going around. There's lots of different stuff that I think is going to allow Marco to stretch his legs. And the thing about comics is you just got to finish, finishing is the thing, and Marco's a finisher. So I think it's going to be
We'll do this one justice, people. We just need your help. Get onto this Kickstarter. Pick a level so you get this comic. Pick something cool. We didn't even talk about the cool stuff. I kind of cut you off because I wanted to talk about it in depth. But look at some of the stuff on here, guys. It's like the comic is beautiful. We've already talked about that. So like we have stickers, we have prints. There's T-shirts. There's the sketchbook pack that Marco kind of talked about. So you get like your name on the thank you page, the Mauka sticker, the Poison Ivy print, the physical copy. You get to choose a variant by all those people that King Eddie just talked about, A, B, or C. You get the Aloha T-shirt. Did you see the T-shirt? Did you see the T-shirt? Look at this T-shirt, people. It's really cool. I don't know, black or white, man. That red really pops with that black shirt. You know what I mean? The border on the Aloha.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. And then, of course, you get the sketchbook. Marco, you make me laugh because it's called The Book of Magic and Stuff.
That's what I named it. So I was...
Hey, it's RJ. Good morning, RJ. How are you, sir?
Good morning. So I don't know, when I wrote that, I was like, what do I like? I like magic and
magic and stuff.
So I think it encompasses everything. I think magic and stuff kind of encompass everything.
Yeah, it's just a broad spectrum of magic and stuff. Really funny. I thought that was hilarious. The Mauka necklace, which, wait, I was talking about that. This is cool. This is that like hook, the very Polynesian, Yeah,
it's called a Macau. The fun thing about that is like everybody like trips on Moana, right? Like
exactly.
The rock kid Maui, but Maui's like a demigod that did some pretty serious stuff, in the folklore, right? So he used the hook to wrangle the sun and pull it closer so that they could have better days. He pulled islands out of the sea. I mean, like there's lots of cool stuff. They call him the Hawaiian Superman. So with that symbol kind of meaning so much, I mean, even to people that just saw Moana or people who know anything about, the mythology, it's cool to have both.
I don't know if you can see this comment. He says, mold one out of chocolate, sell it as a cacao Macau.
There we go. We need to get a cacao Macau.
Make it out of white chocolate. Hey.
I'm telling you, man, we got a lot of good stuff. I think one of the cooler things, you've heard Marco and I talk about Kyle a lot because Kyle kind of opened the door. I mean, for me especially, like I was reading Spread and I liked the story, but I really liked the art. And I just kind of started talking to him and he was telling me different things to do. And it was kind of one of the same things that he said to Marco. It's like, hey man, I got 1,000 people that ask me how to do comics and you're the only one that listens. So you know,
See?
we're going to do a drink and draw, a digital drink and draw
I know.
with, and Kyle's going to be there. And like, I don't think people really understand that for $250, you get all this other stuff. That's what, you know, you're paying for. And then you get an exclusive ticket to basically ask Kyle Strom anything. And he's a guy that's going to answer. Like, he's going to give you a sincere answer. And he's also going to be, you know, doing some drink and draw stuff. And he's even agreed to give the art to the person in the drink and draw. So it's going to be pretty cool.
I'm not going to lie. I was very much on the fence about backing this one. I was like, oh, man, there's only 3 spots. So, yeah, people need to know that there's a chance that they could sit down at a drink and draw with freaking Kyle Strom, John Roush. Who else? Well, Marco, of course. Who cares about Marco?
Also,
there
we go.
Exactly.
That's
a Justin Greenwood?
Justin Greenwood
Yeah.
and John Rouch did that one. Yeah.
Amazing.
And then we haven't uploaded this one yet. This is oh, there it
What's
is.
this?
That's
This
Jake
is the
Smith.
art done by Jake Smith. He's really talented. He's amazing with his character design, his color palette, and
Yeah.
and the cool thing is that he's also another alum from the same college.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Stick together.
And he has
Will you put that other one back up? Now
Oh,
that you're
yeah,
full
yeah.
screen?
the other.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just,
All right.
there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wow. I love how he tied that pink in. You know?
Yeah.
Clothes,
It's
backpack.
And Justin did
No
Justin did
weapon.
a lot of work on that cover, like to the point where when John colored it, he was like, it was really simple because he did most of the work for me. There's a lot of like halftones and kind of like grittiness to it that Justin just did. He even like designed our title logo just because he wanted to. So
That's cool.
we have a lot of really cool stuff. But the other person that'll be in the drink and draws, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a huge correlation between MMA fighters and comic books.
Ah, yes.
There's a lot of nerds.
Oh,
and,
Russell Doan's going to be
Yeah.
there.
and Russ was he was definitely, he was my neighbor for like 2 years, and I never even told him. Like, I knew he lived next door, but I just didn't say anything to him because I didn't want him to feel like I was, you know, like all up in his
Fanboy.
business. But as it turns out, dude, Russ is like a brother to me, and he actually wrote a children's book. Which, if anybody knows Russell, he's like, he is that guy. So it's like, oh, MMA fighters just smash faces and party. That's Russ. But, you know, he's gotten into the creative process just through being around me. And he's a really big supporter of anything that I do. And so for him to get an opportunity to not only hang out and talk to other comic book creators that kind of give him ideas, he really likes just being a fanboy. So even if a lot of comic people don't know who he is, he's one of the baddest men on the planet. And also, you know, he makes things very interesting. I'm pretty sure that the conversations that he'll make the artist have will be for the ages. Very exclusive, I'm sure.
That's really cool, man. That's going to be one heck of a conversation.
Yeah, and I'll be excited to talk to all those people. I know, again, John Rouch. We've been working through King, basically. I've only messaged him a little bit, but I've never met him in person. So it'd be cool to get a chance to kind of meet him.
Cool.
Yeah, and talking to Kyle again. Kyle always gives me the best advice.
Yeah, I figured what I wanted to do here was bring in people that, you know, not only are they just like artists and writers and stuff in comics, but they're people who help other creators. That's the value. You know, if you told me right now, like, hey man, you can sit down for like an hour or two and talk to these creators who are just going to tell you whatever, and you're going to get some cool art, I would pay way more than $250.
I would say so myself. That's a steal to have all those people at a round table virtually.
Yeah.
And just be able to pick their minds or just to listen. I would pay $250 just to listen to that conversation, not be a part of it.
Yeah, comics is all about connections. I mean, like everybody's got a story, everybody's got a style.
Right.
But the connections are kind of one of the things that pay off in the end. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I think opening that door and letting people have an opportunity that Marco and myself have had and see how they can capitalize. I mean, it's kind of part of the fun. Even Jake Smith, like I always joke around and say I discovered Jake Smith because we were at Heroes Con in Charlotte, and he was just at a table next to Kyle, and I was hanging with Kyle and all those guys, and Jake was really hungry. Like, so we took him to California Pizza Kitchen, and we hung out, and he was like, spending his last dime, like going traveling to cons and staying in really crappy hotel rooms. And so, Jake and I kind of developed a bond there. Everybody said he looked like my son. So we made a joke. And then the next year we tabled together, and, now he's kind of blowing up. Blood Force Trauma. Not only is it a successful Kickstarter book, but they're also getting picked up by Dark Horse to do the trade.
Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing success stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love hearing when people work hard and, put the time in and get recognized for all that,
And also you never know who anybody is.
Right.
So like Justin Greenwood, as a matter of fact, it's crazy because like the first 3 hours that I spent with Justin Greenwood, we were just critiquing these MMA fights that were on. We're sitting in a room with like Ramon Villalobos and Kyle Strom, Nick Patera, and Daniel Warren Johnson, and me and Greenwood are just kind of like watching the fights and not listening to I think that was the night that Ramon was like, "Hey Daniel, do you need a reference for that X-wing?" And Daniel's like, "What, you think I don't know how to draw an X-wing?" Like it was like the most artist conversations ever. And I was just kind of watching the fights, and I think Greenwood outpicked me, which never happens because like, I know most of the fighters, even if they're not from Hawaii. It's a small world.
Yeah.
So he outpicked me, and I was like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, you know something if you're able to figure that out.
And then he was like, "Oh, I'm Justin Greenwood." And then when you look at some of his art, like in The Last Siege and stuff like that, even in Torrent Torrent will come out tomorrow. But if you look at the art, I mean, the guy completely understands fight mechanics. He and I watched fights together over Google Hangouts for like 5 years after that.
That's so fun. I love critiquing fights. That's like one of the best things to do. It's just especially because you're not in the fight, so you don't have any skin in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you've been in the sparring ring and you understand the type of pressure and the decision making process that like could make or break you, it's interesting to watch fights and to watch how the decisions that are made.
Yeah.
And,
based on Greenwood's knowledge, I'll go ahead and say that between John Rauch, who used to be a world strongman competitor and was like ranked number 3 in the world, and between Justin Greenwood and him, I wouldn't mess with either one of them. So if you're ever at a con and you feel like somebody's pushing up on you, find Justin Greenwood or John Rauch.
No, I'll just have Marco distract them, and then I'll go behind and just take them out. I'm one of those that you don't see me coming either. I like weapons. It work well for me.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff, and some of this stuff, it's like.
Well, tell me about the boxing gloves some more. So.
Yeah, there was when I was in Hawaii, there was a guy that I like to call him the everyday fighters. And the reason I call him an everyday fighter is because if there was a fight card every day, they'd be on it.
Really?
Yeah, his name's Keka Doi Tololo. And he was a coach and a fighter, and he had a team of boys on the west side of Oahu, which is more like it's a very densely populated area, but they always say like, the west side is like Wild West. Like, people call it ghetto. They can say whatever they want. Everywhere in Hawaii is ghetto. Like just to let you know, the entire place is ghetto, but only because like if there's a building that's standing, what are they going to do? Knock it down and build another one? That costs too much. Like everything's very densely populated. Everything's kind of been there forever. And the west side is so far away from everything else that it's just kind of like it's its own place. Like it's totally different from the rest of Oahu. But I love it because that's like where the salt of the earth is from. These are the people that do everything. So Keko was a fighter and a coach, and he ended up almost dying. He needed a kidney transplant. And instead of just giving up on everything or whatever, he supports fighters. I mean, he does everything that he wished people would have done for him. So he makes these boxing gloves called Bang for Bang. They help promote things with like Floyd Mayweather, and he promotes all these fighters, MMA fighters, boxers. Even before Power Slap League was a thing, Keko was the first person that I know of to ever talk about it, and he backed like that big Hawaiian guy that was knocking people out. And
that is the funniest shit I've ever seen, is that Power Slap League.
yeah, it's crazy. What's crazy to me is like if you're standing across a table, like especially the Hawaiian guy, like he's so big, and his thumb is bigger than like my face.
Right?
So no, I don't want him to slap me.
No.
But
people have been like, they've lost like the whole, like ears gone, eardrum must be blown, nose is broken, orbital broken, jaw broken. Like, why? Don't do it.
Yeah, for me more so it's just like rattling the brain around. Like that's you want to avoid that. You can't roll the shoulder with a slap. But Keko was like cool when I came out with this. He's always a guy that supports me. Like no matter what happens, this guy's gonna be one of the first guys to be like, check it out, King Eddie's doing this. Like we're family. And he offered me a deal with these gloves. I mean, we're talking about gloves that, these things are very high level professional. Yeah. It's by a fighter, for fighters. He uses the same manufacturers that a lot of the big name places use. So you're getting the same gloves that you get when you buy these bigger name brands. And he's completely allowing us to customize it to the person for the cheapest amount possible, like for us. And so to gain a value and to put money back into the book, we put a solid price on it. And honestly, if you go anywhere and try to get completely customized boxing gloves, you
can't.
You can buy the boxing gloves for $100 or $125, but you want to customize them, that's going to be another $300.
Right.
So right here, you're getting a stupid deal to get these customized gloves.
And then you get all the other stuff too. You get the comic, the stickers, the sketch characters, the t-shirt. Oh my God. There's so much good stuff in here. That's what I was saying. Like, I was so impressed when I was scrolling through, like, boxing gloves? No one's ever had boxing gloves on a Kickstarter before. Yeah, and that's why I was like, why are there boxing gloves here? I was like, oh, King Eddie MMA. Oh,
also, when you get into the story of Mauka, like as we go further into it, people don't realize this, but like of all the people on Hawaii, on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, I would say like 65% of people that you see, men or women, fight, either be it boxing, kickboxing, judo, wrestling, MMA, all this kind of stuff. And they're going to want that. But like also in the story, you'll see things that you see, which is if there's a garage or a carport or like a covered area, there's going to be a heavy bag there. There's going to be mats on the ground. You're going to see 15, 10-year-old kids like shadow boxing and it's a fight culture. It's a warrior culture. And you're going to see a lot of that in the book. I mean, because that's just true to life. I can't lie about that. It's just there.
Right.
So
I wanted to ask you about some things on the webpage because you have some partnerships listed.
Yeah, I got to add Bang for Bang to that because they are definitely a huge partner in what we do.
Right.
Defend Hawaii is kind of like one of the premier brands in Hawaii as far as clothing goes. They support everybody. So like any fighter that's about to, have a fight, everybody knows fighters get paid jack shit. So Defend Hawaii does stuff to help fund them. They make, fight shirts, customized shirts, team shirts, like all kinds of stuff. When BJ Penn ran for governor, they had all of that stuff. They help politicians. They service the community. They're so ingrained in Hawaii culture that it's not like I'm going to them and saying, hey, give me money so I can put you in the book. Like, if I'm going to be true to life at all, I got to put them in there anyway.
Yeah.
They were very happy just to be a part of it. They're always very happy and gracious to be a part of it. I wish we could do more stuff. Like, their slate's full right now, but like in the future, I would definitely say that that might be one of the avenues we do to have some of our t-shirts and stuff printed. That might be one of the avenues we have to have like extras, hats, stickers, things like that. Defend Hawaii is like, I mean, they do just that. They defend Hawaii. So a lot of these secret extras could be things like Defend Hawaii stickers or a beanie or something like that. Because they're such a good, supportive company from Hawaii.
That's cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, like, I kind of encourage realism, even in a completely fictional world. You have to have a basis somewhere. And so if I did a book with, a place in Hawaii and you see 10 people and not one of them's wearing a Defend Hawaii shirt, I don't believe it.
That's a good point. But at least it's like you've had that experience. It's not like you've never lived there. You know what I mean? So you're rooted in this culture yourself because of the time that you spent on Oahu. So you understand. So I think, it will make that audience very happy. And for all of us that haven't experienced that culture, we're exposed to the true culture, not something that's just made up. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
and I think that part of it is like, if you take a snapshot between like 2015 or 2010 and 2015, that would probably be where this book lies, like with the things that were going on at the time and like kind of the style and the lingo and things like that.
Gotcha.
I was born and partially raised in South Carolina, and then I moved to Hawaii. And you want to talk about a stark contrast.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I moved into these really nice places or, I mean, I lived right there with everybody else, on literally there was one road that ended, and like where the road ends, there's just like nothing. There's nothing. And I lived on right there on that road.
You're like, at the end of the road, that's me.
The bus didn't even stop at the bus stop. Like, I had to walk a mile down the road to get to a third bus stop where the bus would actually stop. So like when you see like this random white dude walking down that street, I mean, it stands out. And so I would say that, I don't think that I know better than anybody, but I definitely know exactly what I experienced. And I grew up as an adult in Hawaii. I learned respect. I learned love. I learned storytelling. I learned culture. I learned, all these things that are just held so dear. And it literally changed my life. Like the way that I view the world, things, even my children. I mean, all of my children have Hawaiian names, all this kind of stuff. I want to teach them their culture. I want to teach them their language, and being from there like that and seeing what that is, that's what you're going to get in the book. I mean, like there's going to be a little bit of truth to it. Even the pidgin English, like I even had one of my friends call me and be like, bro, why Cole got to talk like that, bro? Like, why you sound just so moke? Moke is like, that whole nah, bah, like all that kind of stuff. But it's because like I'm literally basing these people off an amalgamation of different places, right?
Yeah.
Like I know multiple people in this place. I know multiple people in this place. You kind of combine them and you get that. So it's very true to life.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this myself. We just got to get you some more money.
Yeah, I think the bigger part of the Kickstarter issue is that we had people that were very excited, and so they jumped in right when it started. And then we have people who don't understand comics or Kickstarters or anything. So like they're always like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna back that," and I know they're going to, but it's like, don't do it tomorrow.
Well, that's, and it's hard. And like a lot of our viewers, so people in the chat and the people that are watching understand Kickstarter because they're the ones that are also using it. But yeah, I've had that same issue where it's like people don't understand, like, I would like you to all come out that first week because the sooner we get funded, the sooner the the sooner the Kickstarter algorithm will push you to the front. And then people are sometimes don't understand that it's not like you're purchasing something. We have to hit that goal and for everybody to get it.
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't matter when you get paid, bro.
Right. It's like everybody needs to help. It's like we need everybody. We need everybody, even if it's the $10, the $5, whatever it is. We need everybody to come back this so that we can get a quality product. It's hard to produce something this high end out of your own pocketbook. I get it. You know what I mean? But it's like the people in the chat are also a lot of independent comic book creators like you, me, Marco. So I think we as a community are very supportive as well. So it's great to jump on here where there's other creators who can get behind something as beautiful as this. It's like just to get more eyes on it, get more copies out there is amazing. So
I think once the full book is seen, I feel like I always tell Marco, like, if we could get issue 1 backed, it will be way easier to get issue 2 backed because then people will see what's coming, and it's a very, very deep, very real story.
Right, and it's like it's hard because as a storyteller, you can't give away everything in the first issue. So you're going to learn about characters, they're a little bit of their back, but you're not going to get everything. So it's like issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, you know what I mean? That's when you really start getting into the meat and potatoes of the story. So we need people to come on board for this issue number 1 so we can get to those 2, 3, and 4 and get to the meat and potatoes of what's happening on this island. I'm along for the ride. I'm here. So we're just going to find more people that want to read this and we'll get you there, right? That's what we got to do.
We definitely appreciate the time because that's the one thing that I keep explaining to people that the creators need. Creators don't need, a bunch of fanboys, and creators don't need a bunch of like yes people. Creators just need a platform and support from peers. I mean, that's really all we need.
And to find the target audience, because there's people out there that don't know this comic book is a thing that would love to come on board. So we got to do what we can to spread the word so that people can find it. Because if it's a good story and the art is beautiful, which it is, people will come. People will support this. People want to read this. It's that kind of story that will take you out of that everyday slog. Work sucks. Family life is family life. It's like there's stress, there's taxes coming, right? There's all that crap going on in the real world. Why can't we read something like this and just escape for a little bit? Put yourself on the island and think about how much worse it could be.
How much worse, or honestly, how much better it could be if you focus on the right things. Like, I think that's even a bigger part of the story too. It's like, even in this like hell that happens, people find their actual place, and that's what we're looking for. And that would be cool for a target audience to realize. It's like, it's all about finding your own path. And that's true for anybody. It's relatable to any human. So I don't know.
Well, that's why I like talking to the creator, the writer, you and me, because it's like, what is, we can't really say what's going on yet. But like, once we read issue 1, I would love to pick your brain and be like, okay, what's really going on here? You know what I mean? Because I know everybody has a backstory and a purpose. And like you said, people finding their place is a huge motivator in a lot of stories. So I don't know. It's like, I love picking things apart just to be like, okay, now I get it. You know what I mean? So I feel like this has the potential for all of those layers.
And you know me, I'll put some extra stuff in the background.
I know, I'm going to go look for goblins. I saw one on the first page when you signed your name. Let me go back up. The gremlin.
Did I?
Gremlin. It's there.
Oh, yeah, it is.
These
Stickers.
are in Path of the Pale Rider too. And in fact, in issue 2, there's 2 of them that are framed on the wall in 2 panels. So I made people go look for them.
It's my calling card. I'm actually making a piece to explain To explain
You
the
have to explain
logo.
You gotta explain it. Gremlin. It's your calling card. That's all people need to know. I think they're really cool in how they just kind of show up in places. So it's like when there's graffiti in the background of Mauka, they could be there.
I actually was gonna make it into a sticker, but I kind of held it off. I was like,
Sticker.
okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, and yeah, back to this and give me a chance to draw more.
Yeah.
I mean, like
More stuff
honestly,
out
the
there, yeah.
detail with Marco, he's so on it that like you wouldn't know that the guy had never been to King Street on Oahu. Like if you're going down King Street in town and you're headed towards Diamond Head Crater, like
that's what this is.
right there, that's King Street, and there, and there's Diamond Head on the right in the middle, but you have like a dilapidated King Street on top, and then like the bustling King Street there in the middle.
Yeah.
That's like my the mother of my son, she lived like right near there. And so it's like when I'm like, hey, look at this, she's like, hey, that's King Street heading towards Diamond Head. I'm like, yeah.
So did you specifically go pull up a reference, Mark? I would think so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
did
did
a
references,
bunch
but-
of research. I had to Google a lot of. So what I do is first I Google the place, and then I went to Google Maps, and then I actually took a tour of the street to a point where I was like, okay, this will be a good landscape, and this will be. I have to, because if I don't know what I'm drawing and I'm going in blind, what's the point?
Right, exactly.
That's
You
the
don't want to
point.
make it up out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
especially if King is describing specific places, and
Yeah.
Hawaii is like so specific. It's an island. There's not so many places you can go to where you can just make up stuff. So that's really cool that you pointed it out. I'm like, what's that? What's the rock? Diamond Head?
Diamond Head Crater, yeah.
Okay.
But it's cool because like a lot of people will look and they'll pick, these different images to use as reference. But like legitimately where Marco went in his head was the exact place that everyone would recognize. And that's kind of like a sixth sense secret talent.
Right.
And to have artists from Hawaii, like I'm part of a group called Comic Jam Hawaii. And I love all those people, man. That like honestly, I've probably spoken to like maybe 10 of them 5 times because we're all kind of reclusive comic book people who didn't really have time to hang out, But they would do these comic jams, and I'd go to the mall and just like kind of watch them draw and do kind of stuff like that. But they have that too, right? So like when they are drawing something about Hawaii, it's just not just this boilerplate thing. It's something that would stand out or mean something. And so for a guy who's not even from there to be able to pick that spot, pick that scene, pick that place, that's really impressive. I mean, that's really impressive. And there's a lot of that that's going to come through in the book. I mean, there's so many places, like there's so, I'm always talking about the West Side because I generally stayed more on the West Side, and West Side boys make noise, but
there's nobody in the chat from the West Side. Sorry.
But there's a lot of cool stuff.
We'll have to boost this on a channel that's to the.
But there's lots of cool stuff. I know that Marco is going to capture, like the East Side. It's very green, very luscious. It rains all the time over there. The West is very dry, kind of brown. Town is town. The North Shore is like its own thing, and then like Mililani, Mauka, or Central Oahu, like that area. I know that no matter where we go in this story, that Marco is going to be true to it to a point where people who have seen that and who have lived there will appreciate it.
That's cool.
And so it's definitely a greater part of the storytelling is to be able to work with somebody like Marco who really does care.
Oh, shucks.
He says. I agree on all counts. Same. I think Marco's fabulous and that he brings a lot to the story. I'm not going to say too much about where we're going in our story because it's going to be crazy. So,
Cowboys, zombies, guns.
I'm looking forward to issue 3. Lots of stuff happens, and I keep telling people don't get attached because we got a killer ending on that one too.
Just give me
Everybody was
patience.
real
That's all.
upset in issue 1. I think they would have been more upset if we were able to tackle the color.
That's the thing too about
Definitely.
Marco is like when I'm pitching things in the story that are gonna just like shock and awe, right? He's like, no.
No.
Not this time. I was like, man, we should kill Cola. He was like,
Oh yeah.
not doing it.
Yeah.
refused to kill
The
off
good
this
thing is that
character.
King does bounce off ideas off of me too. So on this story, so I give him some ideas sometimes, little pieces. So it's that's why I said it's like it is a passion problem for King, but slowly, it's becoming kind of mine too because he's helping me learn how to write because that's my biggest thing. I do have a story, but I don't know how to write. So King is like I'm learning from King and all that. Yeah.
I don't know about you, King, but I'm just like, give me the story. Can I write it, please?
Oh yeah.
I'm territorial. I'm territorial with my own stuff.
He's territorial too, man. I get it though. I get it because if someone was like, "Can I write an issue of Path of the Pale Rider?" I'd be like, "Nope, it's already done." You know
what? Anybody that wants to do a backup story, for 3 pages, trying to condense something. That's the other thing with Marco I was so impressed about. Like when we did backup stories, the first backup I did was for Spread in issue 13. And it like had to answer questions that people were asking or whatever, but it had to stay true to the story. And when we did Unearth, it was like we kind of had to do a snapshot of the world outside of what they were focusing on because people thought it was only happening in that one area.
Right.
So we show kind of some of the greater things. But that's kind of partially what Marco brings to the table, right? It's like whether you're doing 3 pages of something or a 20-page book, the insight that's there, it's not insight from a person who's trying to outshine you and say, hey, look at me and I want to change your story into my story. It's you're looking at somebody who's critically thinking about your vision and how they can stay true to that and also bring something to the table. So we're lucky that we got Marco now.
Marco, do you feel good after this doing this show? It's like all we've been doing is talking about how great you are for the last hour and a half.
But I've worked with a lot of people. I did my pitch with Nelson Blake, and he's done a lot of cool stuff with Marvel and with back in the day with Top Cow, like he did the Darkness and Witchblade, stuff like that. Really polished artist. As far as telling my story, he and I, it took longer for us to get on the same page. With Marco, I think he's just as much of a fan of my story as I am. And when he brings something to the table or when he cares about a character or when he cares about something, that's what I call the true north, right? If Marco cares, then
I'm going to use that. Yeah. I'll ask Marco, I'm like, is this true north? Like, you tell me if you care about it enough to make it.
I mean, I'm gonna care about the story because it's my art that's on top of it. I think I've done Path to Pale Rider. I've drawn something, and I told you, Laurie, I'm like, okay, I think I said it to what's his name? Was it eluding me? We were at the bar scene. Jude and what's his name? We're getting Jimmy. We're fighting. And I was reading the script and I was drawing it, and then I was playing the scene in my head, and I was like, "Okay, this doesn't sound like."
One line, and so we changed
I was
it.
I because like I've developed the characters in my head, and then I'm playing these stories, so I'm thinking of their personalities, the characters drawing, which is a complex way of doing it. I don't think everyone has to do it like that, but I do it like that because I play the movie.
Yeah, that's how I see it in my head is as a movie. So I'm watching it in my head as it plays out. And I think just to reiterate what King is saying, whenever you do a character sketch, it's always spot on. Like I've never had a moment where I'm like, this isn't it, Marco. You're always like, here's Dwayne, and I'm like, yes, it is. You're like, here's Jude. I'm like, that's amazing. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing like some of the other characters come out just so I can see how you see them, which is how I see them as well. But it's like to see them on paper out of my head is amazing. So again, I haven't seen anybody that's been able to do that. A lot of times I'm like, okay, like you need this or needs that or da da da. But you're always spot on. So it's that true north, that sixth sense that King was talking about, that just I think that you're so good at, where it's like you can read it, you can see it, you put it on paper, and we're like, yep, that's it.
Some people are contractors and some people are creators. You know, Marco is a creator. So for me, I'm lucky, and like he kind of pushes back when I'm like, you know, co-creator. He's like, man, I'm just drawing it. I'm not a co-creator. But you can't imagine how many things have become so important because they were brought to my attention by Marco. Because I mean, that's just kind of like how it goes. and when I look at his stuff and I see all of his sketches and things, and first of all, if this guy doesn't get a Spider-Man gig, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the industry.
I was thinking Batman. I think for sure Batman, because that's where Marco kind of like lives, is in the headspace of the Batman universe in DC.
Well, when you look at the mechanics,
good morning. Thank you, sir, for hopping on. He was on here last week, and we had a fun old time talking about conspiracy theories and mobs and how deeply they are embedded in all society, which scares me. So he sent me some cool things about Cocaine Bear, which I didn't get to share, but I wanted to say thank you. I didn't get a chance to respond because I've been so crazy busy, but I want to see Cocaine Bear when that freaking movie comes out, because that's like Big James' spirit animal, I think. You know what I mean? Like, just this bear that rips up shit. It's got to be Big James. So anyway, good morning, Mr. Bay. Back to what you were saying. Go back.
Sorry, I guess I have an image of a zombie in my head.
That's what we do, is zombies. Wait, do I have this sketch? Wait a minute, let me see if I can find it. The character sketch that Marco did of Big James, it's just black and white.
Oh, yeah.
But we turned it into a Funko Pop, King Eddie. It's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Where is it? Here it is.
Like I said, like my sketchbook does. I draw magic and stuff.
Magic and stuff. I was like, he almost called it magic and shit. I know he did.
No, I didn't mind.
Magic and shit.
Magic and stuff.
Window photos. Here we go. So, look at this. So, it's like, you know, Big James with his, this is all like his markings and stuff. So this is what we sent over to the, whatchamacallit, to the Funko Pop people to have them make the Funko Pop. Let me see here. I'm going to take this off the screen for a minute, just so I don't accidentally put up anything I'm going to regret. You don't want to spoil anything.
What are you looking up?
I'm in the album. I just don't want to accidentally like scroll through like the end of the comic. You know, because I have all the pages in the album in case I want to share them. So anyway, here's Jude St. Clair, just in case anybody has not seen this. I had this as my profile picture for a while, or like behind the profile. So this was like really the first thing that he drew for Path of the Pale Rider, and I was like, I'm sold. When do you want to start? You know?
Look at the massive forearms on that guy.
Yeah, he's like Clint Eastwood meets, I don't know. What would you say, Marco?
Oh,
I get kind of a Rick vibe from that guy.
A Rick, a little
exactly.
bit.
I kind of got those too, because I did watch a lot of Walking Dead. So, and then when I read your story, I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to draw a badass cowboy, and
yeah. But that's who he is. Is just this badass cowboy that is in the apocalypse and, does anything that. Well, he makes some mistakes too, so that's why we like Jude. Is like he spent the whole night being awake because there was like wolves that were going to attack him, and then like made stupid decisions, and then bad stuff happened. Where's this splash page? Here it is.
I tapped into my inner Jude.
So I don't know if you've seen any of these. Have you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
That's definitely. So this image is what sticks out in my head, especially like when people are asking me like, hey, what else is Marco working on? I'm always like, okay, this, and yes. I will link them directly to this image. It's like, imagine badass cowboy apocalypse things and a zombie.
And a zombie.
And it just
that was issue 1 pretty much. That fits it. So
but that's, that's a hard thing to come across is somebody who kind of understands the character development. Like there are characters in Mauka that are gonna pop up that like literally are people to me.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
he this thing is crazy. His head is so big, it's 2 pieces. Like his head comes off, it's attached by magnets. Because it's just giant, the head on this thing.
That's awesome.
It'll be fun. So we're having fun. I mean, like, I think Jimmy will be the next Funko Pop that we do. Someone in the chat already, like, I put a picture up, like, how do I get this? And I'm like, well, come back for the next Kickstarter. Like, but Big James is really cool. He's a cool Funko. So it is, you know, this show really isn't about me, but it's still about Marco. You know what I mean? Like this is his designs. And,
no, don't make it about me. I'm good.
It is though. Like our comics are your art, so it's just fun to see like all the different things that you have your hands in, and then how it gets interpreted because
it's a shared vision.
Yeah, it's like it's my character, but your vision of my character, and from that vision, it becomes someone else's art. Turning into a Funko Pop. It's just really cool how it can all cascade, you know, and become something bigger than who we are.
I'll look at all the people that were signed on to do Mauka before I asked Marco. And it's like a lot of these people are great artists, right? Like super great artists. And I'm not knocking them in any way by saying like, nah, man, I'm going to go in this other direction. Things don't work out for a reason, you know? And then when we get to Marco doing these things, it's because when I say, this is what I'm thinking, like this is the deal, read this, and then he sends me a sketch or he sends me, you know, his idea of a page or whatever, that lines up so well. Like it just lines up so well to me that I'm going, man, I made such a good decision, you know? Like there were so many people, like there were a lot of known artists who've done books that were like, yeah, man, Mauka, that's what we're going to do. And it just never came to fruition. Then when I worked with Marco on Unearthed, like people don't realize, but when you're getting published in Image Comics and you're only given 3 pages, that's so
much pressure.
It's a murderous thing because how do you tell an entire narrative? How do you make people care in 3 pages? You know, one of the ways that you can make people care in 3 pages is by having captivating art, you know, and when I described things and Marco came up with certain stuff, it was like, okay, yeah, this is my dude. We're going to do Mauka. Like, this is where we're going. And I mean, Kickstarter, no Kickstarter, it doesn't matter what we do. This thing is getting made.
Cool.
That's for sure. And I think one of our bigger goals is whether we do like 5 issues on Kickstarter or whether we do 1 or 2 issues on Kickstarter, we're going to some big companies, you know, of creator-owned comics so that we can, you know, own our creation and push it and kind of get it out there to a broader audience.
I hear you, man. That's what you got to do. It's like you don't want to sign away your creative rights. You want to make sure that you keep control, but still, it's like you got to get it out there. Hold on, Mr. Big, you have Mob fighting zombies. We'll have to go click on that and take a look. Sin City.
I really like where this dude's head's at. Like, I don't think people know this, but like, I am the most mafia human being that's never been in the mafia.
Okay, King Eddie, you need to go watch my previous show with Mr. Big and hear the conversation that we had. He researches like real life mafia activity. So it's like the secret history that you don't find in books. And he's excelled at getting documents and finding in the information. And then he writes books on it. And it's just super interesting. There's a documentary that he did that's on YouTube to watch. Crazy. It's crazy stuff. So we had a great conversation. And we just like scratched the surface of basically conspiracy theories that I have about what everything has been going, but he knows all these things. So he has just some crazy stories. He likes what we're doing. He likes bears. we were geeking out about Cocaine Bear. That's why we were talking about it. So super cool guy. He's a sponsor of the network. So yeah, you'll probably see him too, but it would be fun to like get different people together on my show and let them talk about stuff too. It's like these are previous guests that I want to invite back and let them interact. That would be fun.
It's always fun to see how people interact together. That's how the best stuff comes up. Like,
right.
if Mauka was done just the way I envisioned it, it would probably be crap. But when we have discussions, when Marco and I talk about things, and that's kind of where the best things come from. When you get two people from two totally different places with the same goal but different inspiration, you get a lot of the best stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think
collaboration. I love it.
I think one of the biggest things I've added to Mauka was actually the patterned shirt.
The shirt?
Because the patterned shirt, there's a flower in Hawaii that does have that similar pattern.
Yeah.
But the flower also that I was representing in kind of this kind of geometric shape is actually the Puerto Rican state flower.
Ha! See,
alluding to kind of who the artist was behind the character.
Yeah, and also when he has,
I said that's you, Marco.
When we put the puñeta T-shirt on the guy, that
would be hilarious. Like now it's for real, Marco. You should make this shirt. You could make Carlos's actual shirt, man.
Well, we gotta see how the first issue. We get the first issue down. That's what I was considering too. But I was like, maybe let's just focus on getting the first issue, and then the second issue, after we get the hype, make something with the weapon or the shirt. Long
term merchandise opportunity. Call up to spend Hawaii.
The crazy thing is, like okay, so Hawaiian shirts in Hawaii are called aloha shirts.
Okay.
And aloha shirts are worn like at work, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I was in Target one time and there was a dude with a red aloha shirt on, and I was like, "Hey man, where are the box fans?" And he was like, "What do I look like? I work here?" And I was like, "Yeah,
actually, yes."
Yeah, you do. But like that's kind of like a cool little twist on it, right? Is like you have the aloha shirt, but it's the Puerto Rican flower. It kind of gives a little bit more of a backstory for this guy. Like it's just little things like that make all
Carlos Puerto Rican?
He is.
I mean, if we put 2 and 2 together, it makes sense. But I was gonna say, then why is he wearing an aloha shirt? Does he work there? I thought he was a tourist. I'm not gonna.
He lives there. And
okay.
I'm sure it's just kind of one of the things that, in my head, the way I view it is, if the apocalypse happens and I never have to go to work, I'm never wearing an aloha shirt again. But for this guy, kind of like Marco's saying, it looks like it blends in, but there's just some very subtle differences. Imagine if you were a guy from Puerto Rico stranded on Oahu during the apocalypse.
Yeah.
If somebody recognized what you were wearing, this would immediately be a person that you would be very happy to be around. You know what I mean?
In other words, it's kind of like a calling card. If you can understand this shirt, you and I are probably from the same place or the same background.
Yeah. And Hawaii's like well, other than being a place like tropical, there's also people that are coming for vacation. So you have to think about all these people that went for vacation. And
we got stuck there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The interesting things about the tourist will come in like issue 3. The tourists and the military. You have to think about how much military presence there is in Hawaii. It's not just the U.S. either. I mean, there are lots of joint strike forces that are there. There's a lot of people don't realize this, but Hawaii has like a very a political climate that is unmatched by anywhere else in the world.
It's a little microcosm in the middle of the ocean.
Well, not only that, you think about the people that are there, and then you think about the people whose money is there, and then you think about the people whose strategic military presence is there, and you think about, it's reachable by North Korea of nuclear weapons. It's reachable by all these other things, but at the same time, it's the most isolated chain of islands in the world. So it's just this really weird feeling of you're in the most isolated place in the world, but you have more influence from more places in the world than anywhere else. So it's kind of like a freaking conundrum. Like,
interesting.
You're everywhere and nowhere all at once.
Well, it makes it a really interesting place to be in an apocalypse with all of that going on. You know what I mean? And if people knew, I wasn't aware of all that. I'm blissfully unaware of what goes on in Hawaii. We'll just say that. I have no clue. So that's interesting to me, you know, that type of environment. It's almost like a powder keg, and it could just blow up if the spark happens. So
we've had some discussions with some people about some of the wording that is used and some of the stuff that, you know, and the cool thing about Mauka, and I think it's something that I appreciate Marco for, is a lot of people would be like, hell no, man, I don't want to have anything to do with that if you're going to do that. But Marco understands, and I think a lot of people need to understand that, you know, a lot of real world problems still exist in the apocalypse, right? Like, you have to think it's just an exaggerated version of society now. So there's racism, there's classism, there's lots of things. And I think showing as much of the real way that it is over there as I can, people aren't even going to know that that's real. They'll just think, oh, this is just for this book. But there's a lot of things that we're going to showcase that have a lot to do with being from there, because I love that place with all my heart and soul. And I also respect it in a way to where not everything is great, right? I think that's part of what I want to do here is, and I'm glad Marco's helping me, but, you know, some things that are exaggerated in this book are not exaggerated very far. And so it's something that we want to bring to light, you know, create some change, maybe, things like that. I mean, you know how comics go. They start out as fun and then they end up being these extremely deeply rooted things. So that's kind of where we're at.
I dropped a link for everybody to the Kickstarter in the chat. So we'll replay this as well because we're almost out of time. So I just want to make sure everybody has the link. It's real easy to find if you're familiar with Kickstarter. Just make sure you spell Mauka correctly. Don't mispronounce it 17 times like I did in this show. Sorry, guys. Just, you know, head over here and show some love. Let's get this comic off the ground. Let's get them some funding so we can run with this. If you really want to make a difference in your own comic book career, go click on that 250 drink and draw. That looks amazing. If you're into fighting and MMA and you want some boxing gloves, some custom-made boxing gloves, $250, you can have custom-made boxing gloves specifically towards you. They're 16-ounce gloves, which are amazing. And you get all the goodies. You get all the comics. You get to follow along. Sketchbook pack, stickers, art by Marco Defillo. That I have seen that Poison Ivy up close. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, you guys. Get a print of that, frame it, and put it on your wall. It's amazing. There's so much good stuff in this Kickstarter, and there's so much stuff that I cannot wait to read in this comic. I feel like it's definitely a brother or sister of Path of the Pale Rider for a lot of reasons. And I feel like, King, I think you and I are the same when it comes to our writing and the amount of passion and depth that goes into this story, and the decisions that are made in this story are well thought out. So, you know, let's get on board and let's get this thing made, people. Let's do it. Let's get it. So I just want it. I just want it like today. I know that's not, you know, a insane thing to say, but I would really like this, you know, as soon as possible. But no pressure, no pressure. Sorry, Marco. I'm always like, where's the pages? And he's like, not worry, shut up.
They're in my head still.
I know. I just can't wait to see them. I'm excited. And of course, we love supporting Marco Defillo and all his art and career. We will all be following it very closely because this man's going to make some waves. So tell everybody where they can find you guys. I posted the website, but if you have social media you'd like to share, let's put it on here so everybody knows where to find you.
Oh, well.
Anybody.
My social media is just my name. I think my name on the screen right there says Marco Defillo. All you have to put is just art next to it, and that's where you find me on Instagram. Website's the same, marcodefillo.com. Makes it simple. Yeah, and Mauka Comic, I think what it's called, right? Mauka Comic on Instagram. You'll find it immediately. Thankfully, we had unique names.
I think everybody else with Mauka in their name, follow Mauka Comic.
There you go.
So you'll find us one way or another.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Um,
It's well related here. Mauka. Everybody. Mauka.
Yep. And then, you can find any of my stuff. I have king-eddie.com, and you can see a lot of like my previous work on there, some stuff published, some stuff still yet unpublished. And then on Instagram and on Twitter, @KingEditor.
Very cool. All right, guys. Anything else you'd like to share? Coke or Pepsi?
I'm a Pepsi guy.
Pepsi.
Wow.
You're a Pepsi guy. Ooh.
I'm a Pepsi guy. Always been.
King, Coke, or Pepsi?
Water, coffee.
Amen, brother.
Well, you're right. No, King is right. I'm working out. I shouldn't be drinking any soda.
Here you go. I was like,
If I could
you gotta get on the
mainline
water train
coffee,
too.
if I could just mainline some Kona coffee, I would be like happy and exist.
Yeah.
That's fueled by coffee. That's basically what it is.
That and
But yeah,
pineapple.
hey, I appreciate you having us on, and I I love following what you guys are doing, and so I feel very appreciative that you would bring us on and try to help us out.
Absolutely.
So, thank you very much.
Anytime. You guys are welcome. And like I said, it would be fun to like have you guys on and with other creators. Marco, we have a draw stream every week, dude.
Oh,
It's another place that you can promote whatever project you're on, to show up and work on that during the draw stream. So if like you guys are kickstartering draw Mauka stuff, if we're kickstarting draw our stuff, you can be on the draw. People would love to see you work. I'm just saying, throwing that out there. Those are your views that get the most views on Insta, is you doing art.
Like I said, drawing in my sketchbook, just trying.
While we're thinking about it, since we have that common theme, and Kyle Strom has helped us out on Whatnot, there's an app called Whatnot where every Thursday you can go and watch Kyle Strom draw these sketch covers, ink stuff. He signs, does a bunch of auctions. You get things like cards and I mean, you get remarks, all this kind of stuff. So I want to kind of push that too. So anybody on Whatnot, go watch Kyle Strom on Thursdays. Give him a follow and get some stuff.
I'm still waiting for Marco to introduce me. Marco.
Oh, that's gonna be more of a King thing. I think he still views me as one of his students. I haven't got to the level where he sees me as a colleague yet. I don't think so.
I'm just teasing.
He's the type of guy that does this kind of stuff. I mean, he's like, people don't realize this. Everybody's like knows Kyle from like Spread or Twig, right?
Yeah.
20 years ago, the guy was working for Todd McFarlane. You know what I mean? Like, he's been inching his way through this. He did covers, Evil Ernie covers and stuff like that. And also hashtag Kyle Strom for Judge Dredd. Like,
I love it already.
Yeah, he's done so many good Judge Dredd stuff. But yeah, like he's an artist for the people. So you know what? It might not be too crazy to think that he would jump on here with us and have a good discussion.
I would love it. He's always invited too. I've been reading his stuff for a long time, so I'm a fan. I might have to have Marco or you guys as co-host that day, just so I can actually talk. When I get nervous, I call everybody the wrong name, and I'll forget who I am. It'll be one of those like, I don't know what I'm here for. Sorry.
King has a way of convincing people, so the best way to get Kyle in here is talk to him.
Is to ask King Eddie. King Eddie.
Because I am a pest.
Well, he doesn't know me well enough to like let me pest him and not get upset.
Yeah, I met Kyle because of Spread. I read Spread and was like, this guy's awesome. And I started talking to him. Same with John with Invincible.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. Like I'm the dude that if I see people and they're my heroes, I don't just watch them. Like I want to know what their deal is.
You stalk them and then you make them your friend. That's
Yes, I smother them into submission.
I love it. Killing them with kindness, getting them on your team. Yeah.
Well,
we'll do that. I would love to hang out some more. What do you call it? Collaborate at some point. We could do a crossover. That would be amazing.
That would be cool. That would be
because Marco draws all the characters so they can interact. That would be hilarious.
The Marco universe.
The Marco universe. The Defillo universe. We're gonna claim that right now. It's like we need to go trademark that, the Defillo universe. MD Universe, MD Comics, DC Comics.
Well,
I don't know.
no, there was a way I named myself before. I just went to Simple Marco Defillo Art. My initials spell MAD, so I used to call myself the Mad Factory.
Mad Factory, I love it.
I put it away for a little bit until until more of my characters developed and it becomes the factory. So I'll be like, okay. But right now it's just Marco. But
well, we're on the Mad Factory stream. Love it. So thank you everybody who came out and said hello. RJ, Max, Tom, who else? Mr. Big, Jorge always comes on and says hello first thing. I don't know if he has to go to work. I'm sure Chris Hayes is listening. Hello, Chris Hayes. Thank you everybody for coming out. Go check out Mauka. Go pledge something. Go get this book, man. Because I want my copy.
We're 60% there with 8 days left. We got like the first 40% in the first 2 days, and I'm hoping that we can get the final 40% in the last 8 days.
Whoa. Let's hit the ground running. Everybody share the links, man. Let's get it out there and get some eyes on it and get it done. Let's keep Marco eating. He likes to eat. Just saying.
Yeah. I do love to eat.
He likes to draw. Let's keep him happy.
I have
Marco
to choose one.
Kenny and I are also happy. All right, guys. I'm going to play some commercials on the way out. And I'll see you all next week. Next week we have Kurtis and I think Patrick. And we're talking Shadow. Oh, damn it. Don't kill me, Kurtis. La, la, la. Shadow Ghost. It's here. I got it. I swear. I know it. It's right here. But we're talking about some Kung Fu. There's some comics, some martial arts and comics. I'm definitely there. So that'll be next week on Valentine's Day. Actually, on Valentine's Day.
Damn, it's already Valentine's Day.
I hate pink. All right. See you guys next week.
Thanks.
Bye. Oh, hey, one last thing. You want to see me play D&D? Because I do that every Friday now on the Madness. So we have D&D, Madness Gaming on Fridays, and we start at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you get to see my pirate cleric save everybody's butt because we're all going to die this week. I think we have a bunch of pterodactyls, like 7 of them, giant man-eating pterodactyls that we're going to battle. It's going to be a bad day. So if you want to see us battle some pterodactyls and probably get eaten, show up on Friday and we'll have some fun. Talk to you later.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz
how to drive.
hands. Jazz hands.
Have a good night.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.